Hi, welcome to a new video. Today we're doing a different video. We're going to do the classic car show video. Now I've been coming here for about 6 or 7 years on and off. Now sometimes they do have some caravans here, they have done in the past, so if there's any caravans we will definitely be having a look. But I'm going to go on a bit of a nostalgia trip. I'm going to see a friend of mine who is actually exhibiting one of his cars here, which is I think about 1938, I might be wrong, Austin 7. So what I'm going to do, we'll have a bit of a chat with him, and also I'm going to have a sort of a tour of the show, things that interest me, and basically just hope it proves some of interest to everybody, because at some stage people have owned these cars, and you know, our parents or grandparents and maybe ourselves have got one of these cars, and it's great to see them preserved and motoring heritage. We should be doing it more with the caravan stuff. It's probably very windy, so you're probably going to have a job to hear me. I'm just going to go behind the car now, that might be a bit better. But anyway, so I'm just getting my camera back, and I've got the sarnies. Now I've not done this for a long time, bring my sarnies, but I'm not paying their prices. I can't afford to pay their prices. So anyway, without further ado, let's get going, let's get in the NEC, and I've got to get down to the press office, see them, and first before I do anything. Right, let's crack on. Don't forget the sarnies. Hi, welcome to the channel. I'm Andy Jenkinson, the caravan industry expert.
My dance make it hurt.
I'm going around a lot of stalls at the moment, and this is fantastic because I love these sort of things. Brought a friend of mine a few years ago with me here, and he ended up bailing me out and getting some bits and pieces because I didn't have the money. And today I've just had to do the same. I've just met Roger, the guy who's got the old Austin, which we're going to get on the video later on. But I'm now going to go and pick a magazine up that I want. And also some camper vans here, which are looking fantastic, and a motorhome from like the 60s. So we're going to do individual videos on those, because I think it's really worth to do. I'm going to take advantage. But look at these cars, they're fantastic. MGs, Austin 100s. Let's have a quick look over here before I call a sign off. Right, well, Austin's 100s, Morris 100s. Crikey. I think that was your main family car at the time. A friend of mine at school, back in junior school, his dad had one. It was in cream, I remember it. And in winter time he would insist on taking me and my friend and his sister to school. But in those days, when it was very frosty, and we did get more frost then, where I live, where it's mild, you know, we could get a week of frost and a bit of snow. The car would never start. It was a job and a half. And then when he did get it started eventually, he used to sit in the front, the windows steaming up, trying to wipe the windows, smoking a cigarette, and by the time we get to school we were late. We'd have been quicker walking, but his dad used to insist on taking us to school. And this little Austin or Morris 1100, I can't remember which one it was. This is a Morris 1100. But to think these were so popular. My dad had something quick. He had a Princess, which was on this sort of on this shape, Princess Vandenplan blue, a brand new one in 1966. It was a lovely car with lots of walnut on, as you do. Anyway,
You know, so
I'll just crack on and carry on around the show. That's what they are. Look at them. God. An MG version. My brother-in-law had one. His was in beige. It just gets you so excited. Well, it does, man. Fantastic. Look at the estate version. God, it's been out the road from us. We just get a new one of these. That was something. Look at them now, they're so small, but then. Anyway, enough of that. Let's just go. God, look at the exhausting Legos. My goodness. My dad had one of these. It was a 1.5 automatic. It was so slow. It was in beige, and it was an 8 shell, so it had velvet upholstery. This was a rally version. But this was sort of like Dad's only was in beige, and it was, yeah, we didn't have a sunroof or anything. As I say, I'm sure it was a 1500, and it was so sluggish. I remember we bought it after him, trying to what car he had before. Dad had about 40 cars in his lifetime, and most of them were brand new. Hence we never had any money in our house. I think it's fabulous. I mean, I know the Allegro gets a lot of stick, Lost in Aggro, but it's, you know, it really was. I remember seeing these being launched at our local British Lane garage, amongst a lot of tints and stuff like that. It's just incredible. It just brings back great memories, really. I suppose if you own one, it won't run very well. With a square steering wheel, which I think they later dropped pretty quickly. Right. Well, I'm at it. Let's get Max's. Max's, yeah. We never got one. Dad never went for a Maxi. We went for an Austin 800 instead. He had two. Well, he had a Morris 800 and an Austin 800. And these were bought specifically to tow the new Elder Cyclone back in 1971. Which I think was about £475. So we never got one of these. We just went for the land crab, as they called it. Yeah, brilliant show. You know, if you want to come to the show next year, I really suggest it. It's expensive, but it's really well worth it. Some brilliant stuff here. Look at this. If you're into Fords, lots of stuff on Ford cars. Love the Ford sign off the garage there. Just think it's probably somebody's skip up on town. Mirrors, all sorts of stuff. It's brilliant. I love this part of the show, personally. So much to see. I'm just whizzing over it. God, models. Loads of them. Lots of them. All sorts of things. Nothing much in the way of any caravans then. Like nothing caravans. Vanguard, now that just reminds me, Vanguard models. Oh, some years ago now, I was going to team up with Vanguard and we were going to do a range of classic caravans. But it all fell through at the last minute. The woman who was in marketing took me out for lunch and we all talked about it, we were all getting excited. And then she left and then the marketing department decided, no, we're not going to do them. Typical.
My dance make it hurt.
God, now here we go. The Bond Bug. These were made not far from me originally in Preston. Bond had been a little three-wheeler car company and they produced this called the Bug. I can remember these being stocked by a local dealer who was a motorcycle dealer actually, but they stocked these because they were Reliant dealers and I suppose three wheels, they just thought it combined and went well. Now I think Reliant in the end bought out bonds and produced the bug. But I mean, again, by today's standards, I mean, this looks really funky. I can remember them. I remember somebody close by having one of these, and they look really cool. Used to do me white as well, but orange was the favoured colour. The thing was, they did, well, you could overturn them, I suppose, pretty easy, but they were a funky car. This is the Bug Club. I remember going out in Wales some years ago, and there was about 6 of these turned up down this little back lane, all in bright orange, and it just looked so peculiar to see these little bright orange cars in the Welsh landscape. I bet these are quite fun to drive. Look how quick look down there, so we find it's opened up and have a look. Oh, here's what the chassis looked like. I mean, they were simple. I think they had a mini engine in there. That was a chassis. Bomb bus. Wow. Simple cars. Really funky cars. Probably now would not pass any legislation whatsoever. Right, just talking to the guy, and yes, Reliant did buy Bond, and they bought them before the bug was out. Now the Bond bug has a Caravan, how can I put it, connection, because the guy who designed these, Tom Caravan, who's still around, had a company called Old Design, who designed the Rally Chopper bike, but also designed the 1970 Eccles CI Amethyst, and also the 1970 CI Fairhome 425. Not to mention the new Europas for 1971. CI Caravans brought Tom Caravan in, great expense, plastic mouldings, and claimed the caravans were more for the 80s and the 70s. So that's a connection on that. But Tom Caravan, these Bond bugs to me still look modern. Stopped making them in 1974, which should probably, I can remember the last M-Reg is on. And they were made in Tamworth from 1972, moving from Preston in that year. So, yeah, and they had a Reliant, I think it was the Riedel engine, which was 700cc's in. Look at that. I think it's just brilliant. Somehow I love plenty of shows for you see all sorts of stuff like this. But I do remember these as a kid. Top speed, I think, is about 70 miles an hour. Wow. Oh, so what else is? Alright, come on. We're still on three-wheelers. Nice setter. Yes, our setters do have a reverse gear, to presume a lot more glass than that. 1959 BMW I setter. Look at that. Again, I can remember one or two of these knocking around in the late 60s at home. I think they were very trendy car in the late 50s onwards. The engine there. And in fact, a guy called, I can't remember his name now, something Conby in Metcalfe, he actually used one of these to tow a caravan up Sutton Bank in North Yorkshire. Believe it or not, he did. I presume it's been very low gear. That's what he said when you were talking to picnic. Because you could, this gives people a lot of freedom. Instead of having a motorbike sidecar, you could now have a little car, and they were easy to park, cheap to run, and yeah, you were covered when it was raining. Yeah, love these three-wheel things. Oh gosh, before I go off, someone's got a key in the back. There's one here obviously that's seen better days and presume will be restored. That's a proper rusty old heap, which will, I'm sure, convert to something like this. Absolutely fantastic. Look at them. Well, we've gone from those to look at this. Now, I'm not into American cars, I don't like you guys, but they don't do anything for me, but I must admit, that is really pretty cool. Look at that, the artwork's gone into that. Wow. Interesting. These things are interesting. And that, I presume that's the ladies dressed to actually go with the car. I'd like to explain and asking about the detail. Artwork. Brilliant. Well, I've just found this. It's made by Danbury, and I think it's based on a Fiat. And look at this for something compact. Obviously a pop top. Some pouches up there for storage. Little 2-burner hob and grill. Little sink there. And then your bed down the bottom end here. Attracting quite a lot of attention. Very few of these around.
But I almost bought a yellow one today.
I think it's got a restoration project from that.
Oh right, 2 months ago.
It's
Right.
interesting to see.
I was the underbidder.
Micro campervans have been around for a long time. I tend to think it's something fairly new, but it's not. I remember this. This is a Talbot. It was originally a Chrysler Alpine. I think it was launched around like 1975, 76. And I know because my brother-in-law went and bought one. It was like named Car of the European Car of the Year, and he thought it was marvellous. It always sounded a bit lumpy to me, but you know, it was a hatchback. You could pull the hatchback down, and I could get in there and they push back and sit in the back in the day. Yeah, hang on, some more information here. So here they were, Chrysler Alpine, 1976, yeah, and his was in blue. He eventually sold it for, I think he went for a new Vauxhall Cavalier in the end. But yeah, it was in blue, metallic blue. It was his first new car. They eventually ended up like this. Under the Talbot badge, they grew, and by that time, I think this is 1984. Now this was actually rescued apparently from a house that was, and it was destined to be scrapped. It's only done 46,000 miles from new in 1984. Look at that. We're going to scrap that car. It was rescued. Thank God it was. It might be a mundane car to some people, but that's part of motoring history. I think it's marvellous. That looks like it's a smart show. Chrysler, Simca, Sunbeam, those names really ring a few bells. Yeah. So, the Talbot Matra, or it was a Simca Matra originally, and it started off in 77, because the Simca name was still relevant then. Dad had a couple of Simca cars, one of them the engine blew up, and they were new as well. That was in the late 50s. But anyway, I can remember seeing one of these, a guy had one near me back in the very early 80s, and you know, a couple of me and my mates, we just couldn't really get our heads around this car. It was so unusual. It wasn't a state car, it wasn't a family's car, it wasn't a 4x4. It was just basically unusual, so it was basically an SUV in its way. I remember it rotting away, I do remember that, and I just talked to the guy now and I said, I saw one or two were rotting, and he said, yeah, there's a problem. And there's only a couple left, and I think it's a 1.5 petrol engine, it was only 2-wheel drive too. But I think it looks really good, even now. Yeah, good to see. On with the show. Oh, now then, Hillman Avengers. Now I remember these coming out. I think they came out around about 1969. And they were pretty sort of mundane cars, but they did do a sporty special, as I say, like this. And a chap I used to work with actually had one of these. I think they called him the Tiger or something. Yep, it's the Tiger, the Avenger Tiger, and his was in, I'm not sure it was like a yellowy colour. and he used to complain about how much petrol it used. And he couldn't afford to run it. It was about 1974, oil crisis, petrol prices going up, inflation going through the roof, a bit like now actually. But this was it, the Avenger Tiger. And if you had one of these, I think they had like a 1.6 engine in, probably have twin carbs on, that sort of thing. But, you know, they never really quite took on the things like the Cortina GT and other such cars, really. You didn't see a right of them around, but the Avenger, my dad's parents, my dad's friends bought an Avenger. They towed a little Knowsley Caravan with it. There's another type, you see. Hellman, good old name. K-Reg 72. And they had a 1. I think it was a 1.3, and it was in like an olivey colour. Pretty basic, I remember. But yeah, the Avenger. Who remembers them? A friend of mine had an estate, an Avenger estate, and his girlfriend did as well. And he ended up, this isn't funny, he ended up having a few too many drinks from the darts match, as you did back in the late 70s. And he ended up dropping one of his mates off, and as he drove off he took the side of a guy's brand new Toyota off. The guy ran out, stopped him, and he was banned for 2 years drink driving. I remember that being a bit of a shocker. Yeah, they look pretty smart though, these, all the same. Yeah, so we had an Avenger, and I think also he drove over a roundabout near Southport with it, and it didn't do the suspension any good at all. His excuse was, I didn't see the roundabout. Right, okay. Again, probably had too much to drink, not to be recommended, but that happened a lot in that era. And I must remember I didn't ever drive while being drunk, that's for sure. Because I had two mates of mine who went down for drinking and driving, and I just worried me something mad, so I just decided not to bother in the end. Anyway, that's an Avenger.
These my dance make it hurt.